So yeah, we'll start with DXY, but I'll go through the USD majors and we'll get to gold and silver as well. But since we last spoke, excuse me, not a lot has happened. The market's been pretty flat, and I think we're just waiting for a bit of a catalyst to get the ball rolling. We've got CPI later today. Is it today or tomorrow? I think it's today. Yeah, CPI later today, 1:30 UK time. So look out for that. But we got a news catalyst this afternoon. We got the Fed next week as well. So I think it's going to be one of those two to get the ball rolling for the dollar. Other than that, it's been pretty flat. I mean, my bias is still in play in terms of where I'm expecting the US dollar to end up. As I zoom out to the higher time frames, you can see overall the market has been falling here. So I'm pretty bearish on the pair as a whole. Dropping to the 4-hour chart, there's no difference other than the fact that we're just kind of fading at support. As long as price remains below this swing low, I retain that bearish bias, expecting us to end up back at those lows eventually. I was looking this week to see if we can break higher first, put another lower high and then come back down, which I'm still kind of hoping for because that would give me some nice opportunities on euro, pound potentially. Some of the other USD pairs I'm looking at, dollar CHF as well. So a push up would be nice, kind of getting away from all the noise, maybe taking out some of these highs here, which would have had some orders above them. So we might push the upside into fresh highs, put another lower high in, like we did over there, and then see the follow through back into the lows and maybe further as well. Or of course, we might just continue to consolidate here between resistance and support. And again, wait for the news to give us that breakout, whether it's up or down. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. But all in all, USD is just very, very flat in here. So I'm not really too bothered about trying to find opportunities within this area. If you are looking to try and get involved, then shorting high and buying low makes the most sense. I would avoid trying to look for entries in the middle of the range. That's where the most speculation is. That's where the most indecision is. And you're going to make it difficult for yourself. But other than that, dollar is still pretty flat. But overall, the market is still very bearish. And likewise with Europe, just the opposite pretty much. Overall, the market is still bullish. Still looking for a push back into the high at 1.156. As I zoom out to the daily chart, you can see the uptrend at play. We've just been very corrective, very slow, which is where the kind of doubts are coming for Euro. This is a very corrective behavior, not necessarily associated with a healthy trending market. You know, if you compare the previous swings we've seen to now, there's a clear difference. There's a clear change in characteristic in terms of how the market is trending. So we can tell the market is looking to fall over soon. It might go and take the highs out first before we do have a bit of a drop. We might see the drop before that and push down and then push up. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. But what I'm looking for is similar to what I just mentioned on the DXY, kind of price dropping lower, putting another higher low in, and then hopefully trying to catch some buys afterwards. As long as price stays above this swing low, I stay bullish, and I'm looking for another high low to form for that continuation because we're fading at resistance here, so there's a clear kind of struggle. And again, maybe CPI is going to give us the breakout to the upside and set us on our way. I would actually like to see if CPI can push us down first, and then I can collect some buys later on. Of course, as long as we stay above that low. If price does take out this low, then I will lose that bias and become bearish or at least neutral. But for now, still looking for upside. There's a pretty significant level. If you look to our left here on the 4-hour chart, just above 1.125. I'm looking to see if we can grab a retest of that level before we get on our way. But just not really interested within this here, especially with CPI coming this afternoon. I think that's asking for some trouble. But overall, market is still looking bullish to me, just very, very tired. Pound USD, kind of the same situation. Overall, still very much a bullish market. I zoom out, I can see the trend on the daily chart is very, very clear to see. Of course, recently we broke through some major swing highs to our left, which of course makes the market pretty bullish. And as long as we stay above that, I will keep that bullish bias for now. I did talk about a push back into the lows here yesterday because we did break out the channel. So we had this ascending channel here, which we just about broke out of last week. We, of course, respected the highs as well last week. Massive wick rejection and an okay-ish bearish candle closure shortly afterwards. So that's kind of giving us the indication that we're failing at the highs. Perhaps we could be looking at a deeper pullback. And for the most part, we have had one. I was looking to see if we can come a little bit deeper before potentially pushing up. I still am looking for that same move as well. So again, still very bullish for pound. We've got some really critical support below us here at 1.134. 1.34, sorry, there's no actual one. At 1.34, and that could still very much give us a nice bounce to continue that momentum. So overall, pound USD still bullish as long as 1.34 remains above that level. I do think we can continue higher. If price does break through, like I said, I will probably switch the bias around. We could be looking at a really big fake out above that major resistance, and there could be somewhat of a head and shoulder pattern for a reversal. So for now, hold that support. Not only is there buying opportunities, but it keeps me bullish. Dollar CAD, I'm actually looking for buys for dollar CAD. I'm not really interested to sell it anymore. I know it does kind of go against my bias for the DXY, but I'm kind of viewing it more as a hedge of my bias because, of course, I could be wrong. Just because I'm looking for dollar weakness doesn't mean that's guaranteed going to happen. And dollar CAD might present some nice opportunities to go long on the dollar. We are coming back into a very big area of demand. Price had a brief pause here, ripped to the upside with a lot of momentum. Now it looks like we're about to test that zone again. And you can see for the most part, we are becoming quite corrective now with dollar CAD. So I do think a bit of a bounce is likely at some point. The difficult part is just trying to catch that bounce and ride it higher. At the moment, price overall is still quite corrective. So I do think there's still a bit more downside to be had. But if I can see some double bottom, break of structure, I'm looking for these higher lows to try and catch. Oh, missed it there. For these equal lows or higher lows to try and catch and anticipate price pulling back. And again, not looking for anything crazy. If I can trade it back to some of these highs, maybe even this high here, I'll call it a day. That'll already be a very nice trade if I can catch that move. But yeah, dollar CAD, I am waiting for buying opportunities for this one. Not quite at the zone yet, or at least deep enough for me to be looking for entries. So still waiting for a little bit more of a sell-off there for dollar CAD. Then perhaps maybe towards the end of the week or at the start of next week, we could be discussing some buying opportunities on dollar CAD. In terms of Aussie dollar, I'm looking to short this one as well. Again, kind of going against the USD weakness bias, but in fairness, the price action has been atrocious for Aussie dollar. Very, very corrective in nature. Not really showing much momentum to the upside, so I've been anticipating price to push down. We've been very corrective on the way up over here as well, which again kind of adds to the bias that, okay, the buys are not very successful here. They're running out of steam. At least we could go for another down move for another pullback, even if price does want to push higher. But equally, we could see a very big push down as well in this kind of ascending channel. If I kind of look at the overall structure and how price has been moving. So I'm looking for shorts at this level. So far, the market has been very flat, so there is no opportunity there. If we do push higher, I will also be looking for shorts at the top of the channel as well. Yeah, as long as price remains within the channel, I'm looking to see if I can catch a swing lower back into the low end of the channel. Then we'll go from there. Perhaps we bounce again. Perhaps we break out. We'll monitor that when price does get there, of course. But yeah, for now, it's still a bit flat, so I'm not seeing a worthy selling opportunity, but it's definitely an area which I'm starting to consider. And also, if you do break higher, I'll also consider the high of the channel. NZUSD, a little bit of a hit and miss this pair. I mean, looks like support is just about holding here. So you've got prior resistance once, twice, a third time. It's kind of been up and down, breaking above, breaking below, breaking above, breaking below. So price hasn't really been respecting the level since this test here. But it does look like we're starting to use it as support, and perhaps we could see a nice intraday rally to the upside here. And I think that's a decent bet there for New Zealand dollar. Market's been flat, but it looks like a higher low. Could be looking to print a lot of consolidation here. perhaps a strong close on the hourly chart could instigate a nice push back into highs around 0.607, around that area anyway. So there might be a nice intraday buy there, but that's about it. I'm not looking for any swing trade here for NZUSD. The market for me is overall looking pretty fatigued now. I said, I was originally interested in a breaking me test of this level, but I wanted to see a much bigger breakout with a lot more momentum, and we just haven't seen that. The breakout has been so corrective, so tiresome, so it doesn't really give me much confidence to be looking to try and buy and catch a higher low or a break and retest here. I wanted price to really commit to the upside and then look for the retest. And if we see a breakout like that, that gives me confidence that says, okay, the trend is still alive, we've still got more upside most likely to see. Now with corrective behavior like this, yes, the market's still up and we could still see another swing, but I think the bigger move is probably a swing back down again. The market's quite tired. I do think we'll have a bit of a rest. So, especially as a swing trader, now's not the time to be looking to jump in. Intraday, sure, you can catch your 30, 40, 50 pips and then, exit the trade later. But if I'm looking to try and catch 100 plus, not the best time for that. Rather wait for price to pull back first and then discuss some longs. As for gold, still just about holding support here. Again, my take on gold is that I'm still bullish for the most part. We've broken out this descending channel, which is what made me bullish with this breakout last week. Then in terms of the opportunity, I was looking for price to break to the upside here for some retest to continue back into 3,500. Unfortunately, we broke to the downside, which kind of just made me kind of just sit on my hands really, because I wasn't too sure price was going to break back within the channel or use the channel as support to a degree to push us back to the upside. At the moment in time, still hard to tell. Price action is quite sideways right now. But as I said yesterday, if price can recover and break the highs again, then that really does show me that the buyers are back in control. And at that point, a nice breaking retest, especially intraday, I think would look very, very good at that point in time. So gold, I do think more upsides on the card still. Not trying to get involved at these prices. I think the market's quite flat for the most part. So not really giving me confidence to jump into buys. Again, when I'm looking to buy gold, it's kind of the expectation that there's momentum in the market, the trend's alive, we're pushing to the upside, the overall trend is still alive and well. If we're flat, that kind of contradicts that. So if you can break the high again, that gives me a bit more confidence that gold is still got some room to the upside to go fulfill. So yeah, still waiting for the break of 33.90, and then if you can break that, then I'll be very, very bullish on gold. And then lastly, you got silver. Yeah, so I had a bit of a spike this morning. I don't know the reason behind that. Not really too bothered about the reason behind it, to be honest, because I just want to find an opportunity to trade silver. And in terms of the bias, that's very clear for me anyway. Very, very bullish market, breaking above major resistance. Now I'm looking for price to pull back to retest that level and for a continuation, brief range just below us. It would be nice to see price come back and wick into that zone as well. So silver, very clear in terms of the direction. Again, we had a very corrective move to the upside. We were speaking a lot about this yesterday, about how these corrective moves tend to give us sell-offs. We've had a sell-off now. Now it just depends how big of a sell-off. Is it just the spike for us to continue rallying, or is this the start of potentially a bit of a down move? We have to wait and see. At the moment in time, this is the only area of interest for me on silver, so there's not a lot for me to do really until we start to approach 35, and then I can start to discuss some longs. But yeah, massive breakout. I'm still looking at 40 as the next big psychological level, so I do think there's still more room to the upside for silver, but that's the opportunity I am interested in.